Among the many reasons for community pride in Roxbury are the contributions of the Haynes family, whether in music, military service, faith, or politics. After the recent passing of Reverend Dr. Michael Haynes, an endowment is being established to provide scholarships for students at Roxbury Community College. The campaign's called the Legends of Roxbury series, celebration of the Haynes family. To tell us about it are the president of the college, Dr. Valerie Roberson, and son of Reverend Dr. Haynes, Abdi Ali. Thank you both for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks.
I want to start with Abdi Ali. You're the son of Reverend Dr. Haynes. Who are these people in the family that we're honoring with this endowment?
These are people who grew up in Roxbury, born and raised in Roxbury. My father is the last of the Haynes boys, born in Roxbury, and they grew up and did their work within a 5-mile radius, except for Uncle Roy, who went around the world and moved to New York pretty early on. But these are men who made deep connections to the community. Whether it's in politics or sports or education, they were really, and even in the spiritual life of Roxbury. So they've done a lot of work. It's just staggering the kind of accomplishments that these men have had.
Roy Haynes distinguished himself as a drummer, primarily in jazz. But what about your father? He was a longtime pastor at 12th Baptist Church. He was an associate of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Tell me a little bit about that relationship going back to the 1960s and what it meant for education.
So they meet at 12th Baptist Church, Martin Luther King and my dad. And my dad is a youth worker, youth minister at 12th Baptist Church. But he had already been involved in youth programming through the Norfolk House, through Breezy Meadows Camp, which was part of the Robert Gould Shaw House. So these were community-based agencies that no longer exist. And to the sadness, one of the sad chapters of my dad's life is that these deep institutions that did a lot for the Black community in Roxbury no longer exist. But he was already very active in the life of young people through sports, ran a basketball program out of the Norfolk House, did a college, one of the first people to start the Black college tours. He would take students, athletes, young men and women below the Mason-Dixon line, and college was very, very important. I have family members who say he would stay on them to make sure that they turned in their college applications repeatedly. My dad believed in education. I think the Haynes family is deeply committed to education, and we couldn't be more proud to be connected to Roxbury Community College, which is right in the heart of where the Haynes brothers did their work.
Dr. Robertson, tell us about your encounter with that commitment, especially with Roy Haynes and this idea for the endowment.
So this endowment idea came from Roy Haynes' agent, Ted Curland, and Tessel Collins, a longtime community member in Roxbury. They came to us as a foundation and said that they would like to have a scholarship named for the brothers. And I'm from Chicago, so I wasn't familiar with the stories, but I've come to really know and respect the work that they've done. And I had the honor and privilege to meet Abdi's dad, Reverend Haynes, one of the high points of my career.
Right. What do you think this means to a prospective student at RCC? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, community colleges, those aren't expensive. Anybody can handle that." But giving this kind of aid to a student, how much of a difference do you think that can make?
It makes a huge difference because 80% of our students qualify for the highest level of financial aid. And that covers the tuition and fees, but it doesn't really take into account the living expenses that a student has. So their books, their transportation, all those things that can really make or break a student, this scholarship is intended to assist, to make sure that all of their finances are taken care of, and to help them to avoid taking out loans, because our goal is that every student has the opportunity to finish RCC without any debt.
Right. Going back to Abdi, going back again to when Dr. King was in Boston, at the time Reverend Haynes was a state representative, so he arranged for Dr. King to speak at the State House. Was there something in that statement, that address about education, do you think?
Absolutely. In fact, the relationship had already been established at BU when Dr. King was doing his doctorate here. By 1965, Massachusetts is the first state that had the joint session to invite Dr. King to deliver his message, and my dad gave the prayer on April 22nd, 1965, to a joint session of Congress and the House of Representatives. And what was really, really interesting about my dad's prayer, and as well as Martin Luther King's statements, is the emphasis on education, the importance of education. I also brought a book here that has photos of my dad visiting young men and women at Hampton University, at Delaware State. And when opportunities were denied to African American students in the North, my dad tried to make inroads with black colleges in the South. And I think Roxbury Community College is serving that mission of making education accessible to historically marginalized communities. And it's in the heart of Roxbury, and we're very, very proud of that.
Dr. Roberson, what Abdi was talking about was also this larger story of grassroots campaigning efforts by people in the community for better education. But that was also, I guess, the genesis of RCC too,
Absolutely,
wasn't it?
absolutely. There was an intent to create a highway through the property where RCC now rests. And people from the community gathered together to say to the legislators, we don't want a highway, we want education. That's what's going to make a difference to the people here. And so it was that unrest that started the college.
This is Being the News, and we're talking with Dr. Valerie Roberson of Roxbury Community College and Abdi Ali about the Legends of Roxbury series. Abdi, what about the series? Because you've got an event coming up to get a little more support for this endowment, right?
Yes. My understanding is that so far there's been some large commitments made to support this Haynes Family Scholarship. It's on Saturday. With Pat Metheny headlining the event. So we're all excited. We're a deeply musical family, and we're looking forward to celebrating the life of these men. I should say Uncle Vinny, Vincent was a photographer, a coach, a newspaper guy. Uncle Douglas was actually influential in introducing Uncle Roy to musicians, and then eventually helping him get to New York, where he started performing for Sarah Vaughan. So these men were really doing some deep work to educate themselves, to educate others, and we couldn't be more proud that we're connected to Roxbury Community College.
Dr. Roberson, I know you have a lot of new programs going on at the college, and if people want to find out any more about those, or even about the scholarships, how can they do that?
They can go directly to our website, and all of the information is listed there.
Right. Thank you both very much, Dr. Valerie Roberson
Thank
from
you.
RCC and Abdi Ali from the Haynes family.